Okay. Everybody is comfortable enough? Good. Now, each of you, I've been told, went through a business planning session last week. And you got some chunky names which I cannot even hear except for the tapawing, okay? Okay, so now each group please take one pen, write your name of your group on that sheet of paper, please. Yeah. One person, just one person will do.
Do you want one sheet first? Do you want one sheet first?
No, I don't need one sheet. I just need your name on the board. Big writing, yeah? Sorry, I'm at that age where I actually will squint if I can't read. Write the name of your group. Okay, you all have either a name for your group or a brand, right? For the business plan that you wrote?
Yes.
I want that name. If it's Tapao King, write Tapao King. If it's whatever, what's the others? Can I know? Gorengan, please write Gorengan, okay? So some of the slides here are very informational. There's nothing, how would I say, it's not rocket science. Some of it, you can actually get it out. If you're hardworking enough, you go and Google it or read a book, you will find it. How many of you read books? That's very good. How many of you use the internet to look for information and to learn? Very good. Excellent. Please keep at it. Once you give up, you're going to miss out something very big. Alright. The first slide is this. Very simple. You have a career in the middle, and then look at it. You have a vision, you have education, you've got goals, you've got values, you've got interests, you've got skills. Quite a lot of things to swallow, actually. But if you think about it, it's not that complicated. You know, there's this little thing that is on Facebook that says, I'm in a complicated relationship or it's complicated. Nothing is complicated if you are clear about what you want to do. Okay? Complication is something that you put in your head. If you make it simple, it is as simple as an ABC. If you make it complex or complicated, it can be really difficult. Okay? Your values. Your values basically looks at what you want to do, what you like. Now when we start up in education, as usual, we all go to the same phases. We go to play school, we go to kindergarten, we go to primary school, blah, blah, blah. When you reach secondary school, this is when your values and everything starts coming in. You are at that age when you finish secondary, you're going to college, you're going to university, or you're just going to go to work. Your life experiences, your family values, everything will come up and combine it and develop into skills. If you have learned to cook when you were with your mom in the kitchen, you probably like cooking or you hate it. And that becomes a skill. Okay? Your interest is what you develop as you grow, because you have a propensity to do certain things. Like, I don't like exercise. No, I like certain exercises. I'm very selective, because I don't like hot weather. I like to work out in the gym because it's cool. You won't see me hiking up a hill, you know, unless it is for some special reason. Never, ever. Okay? That's me. Some of you like outdoors, some of you don't like indoors. But does that make it difficult for me to get along with you? No. Correct? Okay. Now, we've been talking about selling, we've been talking about being an entrepreneur for this morning, okay, by the two excellent speakers. And you've been very lucky you had a bonus speaker as well. Now, we're going to go through this exercise in the afternoon, and I want you to think about it. What is sales? First, you must have a buyer and you must have a seller. That's the basic thing. If I'm going to sell something and if I don't have a buyer, there is no sales transaction at all. Number two, the value of the thing being sold, the item being sold, whether it is a good or a service, it has to be conveyed. Number three, the buyer must understand or perceive the value of what you're going to sell, whether it's a good or a service. Simple thing, ice kacang. If I have ice kacang to sell, and you are now the buyer, and I tell you the ice kacang is going to cost you 10 ringgit a bowl, you may or may not buy it. The reason why you may or may not buy it is simple. Do you see the value in what I am selling for 10 ringgit? When you know outside you can get the ice kacang for maybe 5 ringgit. You follow what I'm saying? Yes. There has to be a perceived value and a need. The buyer must be thirsty, or he loves my ice kacang, or because he's my good buddy, so he will buy. Got it? If there is no value, as in perceived value, he will not buy it. So you can sell your, what is that? Gorengan, yeah. You can sell your goreng pisang ke apa ke, and if you want to pitch it at 20 ringgit or 10 ringgit, and if that buyer does not perceive it, he will not buy it. Okay? The third thing is, there are certain rules. The rule is this. If I am going to sell you the ice kacang, I may sell you and say this is 10 ringgit, and I have a very nice packaging that goes with it. And you understand that rule, and you say, okay, I will take it for 10 ringgit. There's no such thing as, oh, I don't want the packaging, and therefore can you give me a discount? Because the rule is that I am going to sell it to you at 10 ringgit because it is packed in this box. Okay? Number 2, one of the rules can be, for example, I only accept cash. I don't accept credit cards. That's one rule. Okay? There is a stage. An identifiable stage means, for example, I need to show you my product. I'm going to sell you the ice kacang. I must tell you and show you what is inside the ice kacang. Of course you know what is ice kacang. I'm selling you at 10 ringgit. I have to show you what is inside that 10 ringgit, right? Okay? So, I will have to present the product to you, which is stage number 1. Stage number 2 is that I have to tell you what's inside the ice kacang, if you cannot see everything inside the bowl, for example. Stage number 3 is probably I will tell you, this is 10 ringgit, and therefore, it comes with this box. Number 4, I only accept cash. If I have a store or a shop where I sell the ice kacang, I can put a sign that says, no outside food and drinks allowed. I think you see that quite often. Correct? So that's one rule. It has to include an art of persuasion. Now, I don't know why, a lot of people think that if I'm not a salesperson, I am not engaged in this art of persuasion. I think that's not quite true. If you're going to convince your mother to give you 1,000 ringgit to buy a game or to buy a Changi phone, you are engaged in the art of persuasion. Trust me. You'll think of everything that you can think to say to your mom to let her to persuade her to give you the 1,000 ringgit. Am I correct? Yes. So, the art of persuasion is not limited to when you are doing sales and marketing. It is everything that you do in your life every day. If you want to catch it, if you want to, let's say, chat up with a girl, you've got to be engaged in the art of persuasion, right? Correct? You're not going to just stand there, look at the girl, and then hope that the girl will come to you. Chances are you're going to fail. Correct? Good. And the most important thing, yes? Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Speak up.
Okay. The art of persuasion, is it a talent or is it a skill that you develop as the years goes by?
Very good question. Very good question. Excellent. His question was, is the art of persuasion a skill or a talent? I would say it's a mix. It's a talent for some people because some people are pretty good at speaking. Some people have a tough time when they communicate. If you have what we call an innate talent to speak, or to communicate clearly, then yes. But you can learn it. It's not difficult. You can learn it by reading, watching. You know what's the most important thing? Watching films, watching movies, watching your dramas. Gosh, that is the best way you learn. But I'm not saying that you spend all your time watching dramas or films, yeah? But you can learn from there. You learn it when you observe and you practice. And like you said, is it a skill that you can learn? Yes. A skill is only learned when you practice. If I want to learn a new language, let's say French, and I just read, listen, but I don't practice, chances are I will not be skilled in speaking French. There's no shortcut. You have to practice. Okay? All right. Now, what is marketing? Now, a lot of people say and think that sales and marketing is the same. It is not. It is not. Selling is actually an identifiable technique, a tool that you do when you sell. But marketing is different. Marketing means you communicate the value of your good or service. And you do that through promotion, campaigns. Word of mouth is a form of marketing. So if I say my ice kacang is 10 ringgit and you say, oh, excellent. Janice sells 10 ringgit ice kacang and it is super yummy. You're doing marketing for me. Word of mouth is the marketing. Okay? The next, you have to develop ways and channels. Vincent talked about it this morning. The social platform. Some of you asked about Google, Twitter, Instagram. And you learn, right? Instagram is not that great a tool because it is linked to Facebook. I hope you remember that. I was sitting at the back, but I was paying attention. Alright? Now, you use a lot of techniques. After you have done marketing, you need to do analysis. Okay? Just like you are doing on Facebook, you need to see whether you have the traffic. You have people, let's say if you're going to put your things on, remember we talked about SEO, search engine optimization? And then you have to think about what are the keywords, so that when you type in the keywords, your brand will come up. And you need to do analysis. After that, you look about behavioral science. For example, the makcik and the pakcik or my mom will never ever pay 10 ringgit for my ice kacang. I think never. Correct? But I think you guys may pay 10 ringgit. So I know the behavior of my customers. All the potential customers who I want to target at. And you can go into very special fields in marketing. There are a lot of special fields. There are some people who just do marketing research. I have a friend, she operates a marketing research company. She's been doing it for maybe 20 plus years. Very, very specialized. She got people who come in, potential, for example, you could be a potential, how would I say, a customer of hers. And they pay you, you know, when you do marketing research. Oh yes, they pay you. You go in there and then they ask you questions or you fill up a form. What they do is that they actually do two things. They do market research for companies who intend to launch a product or to do a feedback or a survey. There's one bank that I know that engaged her because that bank found out that the customers were all dropping off. You see, even a bank has a problem, okay? It's not your gorengan or whatever will have a problem. Even the bank has a problem. It's so competitive. So they wanted to find out why customers are moving away from that bank and taking their money out of the bank and investing it or depositing it in another bank. She asked me and said, oh, have you heard about this bank? I said, of course. And then she said, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, why? And she told me this. And she said they're looking at certain profiles. Because the bank discovered that the customers that are moving away from them was within this age group. And this age group apparently has the highest value. That means the deposits values are very high. And they were moving away. And it was an alarm bell because then they realized that they're losing a lot of their key customers. So they engaged the company to do it. By the way, when I was doing university, I did some of this part-time jobs, and one of the job was me and a friend went down, took a bus to 2 towns, Taiping and Kuala Kangsar. Have you been to these 2 towns? Who's from Taiping? Kuala Kangsar? I don't know how I did it. Wow, I was so brave. Really brave at that time. I think when you're young, you're fearless, okay? So we took a bus, and then we went down, and then we basically, number one, we don't know the town, but we stood there, we were told, okay, take a survey from these shops, or you find the central wages, and we just stood there, and then we started to ask. I can't remember what it was. It was a brand of candy or biscuits or something. And the idea was that they were trying to find out if they were to launch a new brand, and they were targeting certain customers with a certain profile, means income value and age group, what would be their buying patterns be like? Or would they spend that kind of money? For example, back to the ice kacang. If I want to sell ice kacang at 10 ringgit, I need to know how many buyers I have for ice kacang at 10 ringgit. If I'm going to, let's say, in a month only get a certain number of sales, then I won't bother with it. Why bother with something that's not going to make money if I'm doing the business? Okay? All right. You know why people choose a career in sales? I think I met some of you the week before, and I said I went into sales by accident. Because at that time, it was very difficult to get a job. And I was offered, and I was told that I would get 1 month training on sales techniques. And I felt there was nothing I'm going to lose. I had everything to gain, so I took it. And I'm very happy I took that step because it made me where I am now. It made me who I am. Okay? The top people in sales makes a lot of money. You all know insurance companies, right? Have you heard about this $1 Million Club? $1 Million Club? $1 Million Club? Who has heard about $1 Million Club? Where did you hear it from?
One of my friend's parents.
What are they doing?
I'm not sure.
Okay. $1 Million Club, Platinum Club, whatever club, these are clubs that are created for top achievers. Always in multi-level marketing, like your Amway is one. In insurance companies. And you will see that these people who qualify to be in these clubs, the numbers are not big. These are what we call the top achievers. And they get there by hard work. There's a very famous speaker called Brian Tracy. He does a lot of talks and a lot of trainings on sales, leadership, and so on. And he did this, and he said this: 20% of the people in sales make up for 80% of the sales revenue in a company. Which means that in a company, if they have 100 employees doing sales, 20% of that 100 employees are the ones that makes the most money and brings in the most sales revenue for the company. It is a fact. I can tell you it is a fact. But this 20% started at the bottom 20%. They didn't go there because they have a magic carpet. No, they worked their ass up. Sales is 80% hard work, 20% luck. Even if you have all the 20% luck and you don't know how to tap on the luck, you're not going to get the sale. That's it. It is a formula that is pretty valid. If you're going to do your own business, please remember this. It is very, very key because it is a figure that actually doesn't move. Once you start up your business, then you will start seeing that your top sales revenue products or your top sales people will be in this kind of ratio. Okay? So remember this. Top 20% make up 80% of the sales. But that 20% was at the bottom 20%. Which means that these people started from the bottom. You're shaking your head, that's why I'm looking at you. I'm trying to answer your question. It means that the 20% was at the bottom. They all started at the bottom, and they worked their way up to become the top 20%. You understand that 20% rule? Clear about it? Okay? And it's very speedy. If you consistently be a performer, a top performer in sales, you will be promoted. For sure. Because then your progression will be, first, you become a sales rep, second, you become a supervisor, third, you become a leader, fourth, you become a manager. And in companies where they have a sales team, typically they spend the most amount of training on the salespeople. You remember what Vincent and just now the gentleman said? If you have an idea, who asked the question? I have an idea, but I don't know what to do about it. So, if I want to have a cafe, I know next to nuts about coffee beans, I know next to nuts about making a good cappuccino or latte. Where do I go? No, you ask me. Mentor is one. Where would I go? If I want to open a cafe, I don't know next to nuts about coffee beans, I do not know how to make a good latte or cappuccino. Where would I go? No, you guys are not thinking. I want to open a cafe. Question again. I want to open a cafe, but I do not understand about coffee beans. I do not know how to make a latte or cappuccino. Where would I go? Yes, you can ask somebody who owns one. What else? Hire someone you know, yes, but you know the Chinese saying is that if you want to open a restaurant and you don't know how to cook and you rely on the chef, you probably will go bankrupt. Yes, what else? Come on. What was that? Precisely, you go start working the coffee shop. Great, who gave that answer? Very good, she is thinking. I will go and learn to be a barista in Starbucks, Coffee Bean, Gloria Jeans. Maybe I go to Starbucks or Gloria Jeans and say, oh, maybe, or I can go to, do you know Gloria Jeans is a franchise? What does a franchise mean? Franchise means they already have a program. They have a brand, good. I don't have to think about branding. I don't have to think about marketing. See, you guys are thinking. That's where I will go. But a franchise means I have to pay a fee. If I don't have the money, then I have to think of an alternative. Alright? So, the answer is, if I want to start up a business and I don't know about it, I go and learn from the people who already are in it. I can apply a job in it, I can go and ask questions, I can go and learn. There are so many avenues. I mean, you guys are in a very lucky stage. When I was my age, when I was your age, I don't have such options. No franchise. Manada. Franchise only came about like maybe 15 years ago, something like that. We didn't have. We had to start and actually really work at the bottom and figure it out sometimes or learn. Okay? So, if you want to work in sales, I can tell you, you can make very good money and you can have a very steady progression in career. There are some people who want to be salespeople and never want to be a CEO. Okay? I know of some salespeople who never want to be sales managers because they said, I do not want to manage people. Because they have this enjoyment that they get from closing a deal. So they don't want to be. Yeah. And you have some people who set up a business and just become an entrepreneur, but they don't employ people. Okay? They set up a network, but they sell everything by themselves because they say, oh, I'm the best salesperson, so I do it. So there are options for sales, okay? The next one. This is top salespeople. They're optimistic. Because if you're not optimistic, you cannot go and sell something. For example, I want to sell you a pen, but I'm like, I have a pen to sell to you. How would you like to buy? You will never buy from me. Because I sound like I don't believe in the product. I found like I have no energy, right? Correct? They have a positive mental attitude. So my target is I have to sell 100 pens a day. Die also I will sell the 100 pens. Because that's my target. Okay? So door number 1, I don't sell anything. I have to go to door number 2, door number 3, door number 4, door number 5, right? Because I have to hit the target. So I need to be positive. And 80% of sales is psychological. Do you remember the first day that you all came here? Yes. You all did this vision dream board exercise? You remember?
Yes.
Where's your dream board? Have you chucked it somewhere? Huh? It's on the wall? On the shelf? In between the books? Under your bed? On top of your cupboard? Where is it? Okay. This is what I tell all my salespeople. When I want to walk into a place and I want to close the sale, I visualize that the sale is done. I visualize by looking at the contract, having a mental picture of the contract, and that the buyer will sign on the dotted line and give me a check. That's why it's psychological. You see, a salesperson is very much an individual because they have to rely on their own to close the deal. You have got support because, for example, if you work in a company, you have the products, you have the processes in which they deliver the products, and so on. But it is you and only you who can close the sale. Nobody else. Okay? They are ambitious, they are courageous. That means you quite thick skin now. You have to build it up. It's very simple. If you're going to say that I'm shy and I cannot do sales, then you basically know really your own character, and then you have to think and figure out how you're going to do it. But the most important thing about salespeople is that they take a no as a positive sign to turn it into a yes. You know, we learn in sales is that if somebody tells you, "Ayah, no lah, your ice kacang 10 ringgit too mahal," that is an objection. I have to find a way to persuade him why my ice kacang is worth at 10 ringgit. An objection can be a buying signal. That's why they need to have a positive mental attitude. Because if you think, when he says 10 ringgit is mahal, and then you say, "Ya lah, memang mahal." Dead already lah, you cannot sell your product. Die. Remember this, you know, because you guys, a lot of you say that you want to be your own business people, okay? Or run your own business. This is what it takes. Okay? They're committed, they're prepared, and they learn and learn and learn and learn. I learn every day. I learn it from people who are better than me, people who are not so good, because then I pick it up and then I say, oh yeah, this is not so good. I must consciously learn not to do this. That's why you have to learn. You read books, you talk to friends, you talk to people, you learn from each other. Now, you know why I swapped the seats? Because those who were in the front were asking all the questions, and half the two tables at the back was like, cannot hear. I also cannot hear, I was sitting at the back. Because you have to learn from each other. Every time somebody asks a question, you learn. Because that person is thinking maybe something that you have not thought of. Alright? Let's talk about marketing. How many of you think you're very creative? Very, very creative.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy! No? What is the definition of creative? Can someone explain to me what's the definition of creative? Think out of the box.
Find new ways to sell things.
Yes. I can't hear you. Trying new things, yes. You have to be creative. Yeah. You know Milo?
Yeah.
If you look at, or you go and ask your mom or grandma, okay, how the Milo advertisement looked at her time, trust me, it's now been so different. I remember the Milo ads that I saw years ago when I was young. It's not the same. And if you realize it, they have become very creative and they adapt it because people's habits change. Your group, your ideas, your likes and dislikes have changed. It's not the same. Very good example. You have a Facebook account, right? Your parents probably have a Facebook account. Have you looked at your parents' Facebook account? Adele, what's the difference between their accounts and your accounts? Who has more posts? You sure? I don't think so. I think your parents are more avid Facebook posters than you are. Yes?
Yes.
I have a friend who will post every single thing, every single Photoshop of everything he eats. Okay? And I look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness. By the way, he's a friend, which means he's my age group. And I'm like, yo. So, you see, there are segment markets. They're not the same. They look the same, but they are not the same. Then, there's opportunities for progression. You have to connect with a lot of people. You want to do marketing and you don't want to talk to people, sorry man, you're in the wrong field. Because you need to know what people like, what people don't like, what makes them tick, what doesn't make them tick. Okay? There's options for specialization. You can choose creative design if you're very, very good at it. If you can do communications, that means you write the taglines, okay, and so on. You can do that. Or write a script. It's not a 9-to-5 job. Trust me, if they want to launch a product, you are going to work 24 hours, maybe 36 hours at a stretch. If you cannot take this, don't choose this field. This is even harder than sales because of the demands on your time. And if you have a very possessive girlfriend or boyfriend, forget it. Because I know, okay, I'm at that age where I get to hear all of this. You have to be realistic. You cannot go into how do I say? Remember we did the job interview thing. I think some of you did it with me. And you are going to apply for a marketing job, and the guy says, you know, sometimes you're running campaigns and we're going to work, you know, are you able to work long hours, flexi hours? And the answer is no. I'm going to say, oh, thank you very much for your time. No, isn't it? You're not going to get the job. Get real. Be real about it. Okay, there was a question somebody asked. If I've been asked to work long hours, or weekend hours, or flexible hours, and I can't do it, should I tell the truth in the interview? Am I correct? Yes. See, I remember. You can be honest, but you must know where that limit is going to take you. If you are asked to stay back for 1 hour, I don't think that's going to be difficult. But if you're asked every day to work up to 12 midnight, you cannot do it, then you have to say it. If you are taking a course, or you're attending a training or a course and you cannot do it, then be honest about it. And you can say, oh, because I'm taking a course, therefore this is my time. I can't do it. Or you have to take care of some old folks at home. Tell them. But if the advertisement says it is not a 9-to-5 job, flexible hours required, long hours required, and you go and apply for it, you're just kidding yourself. If you want it, then make sure that you can do it. Okay? It pays very well. If you're very talented, it really pays very well. Top marketing managers. Okay? CMO. You know what's a CMO? Chief Marketing Officer. They make a lot of money. Some CMOs make more money than the CEOs. They make very good money. So you want to make good money? Sales and marketing is the two fields that you can go to. Okay? Look at that. Why did I put humility? Do you know what is humility? Huh? Humble, yes. Because you have to learn from people and you have to understand it. You cannot say, ah yeah, I know everything. You can't, because you can't market the product. Okay? You need to have people skills. The last one will help you if you're applying for the next job. You must have a track record. You build up in your career. Even let's say if you take what I call a little bit back office, like research marketing, okay, and go into that as a job, you can be very good at it if you specialize in it. Some people have an aptitude for numbers. You know, when they do analysis, they look at the Excel sheet, or they look at the graph and they go like, pop, pop, pop. That is really good. That means you can do market research, you can still make very good money if you have got a unique skill. It doesn't mean that you have to be creative, because like I said just now, there's a lot of segmentation in marketing. You can do marketing research. You can do marketing communications. If you can write very well, that's one of it. Okay? Now, you know why I put less than 100% is not acceptable? I will tell you why. How many of you really want to do sales and marketing? Can I have a show of hands? Ooh, suddenly it went to, oops, 2. 2 weeks ago, I was told it was 8, and I was dwindled to 2.5 because you didn't put up your hand all the way. So can I understand why is there a change? Because 2 weeks ago it was 8, now it's 2.5. And why I say it's not acceptable. First, let's answer the first question. Why now 2.5? Those who have previously selected sales and marketing as a career to start with, how many of you earlier selected and now have changed your minds? Don't worry, I'm not going to, wallop you on the head or anything.
There's no punishment or reward.
Yes. I just want to understand so that I can talk to you and let you and explain to you. How many of you have selected it before and now have changed your minds? Please pull up your hands. Put up your hands. 1. Cannot be what? There was 8 ma. You are very brave. Thank you. How many? Consider. Were you considering it before? Who else? Okay, second one. Who else? So which means we have 4.5. I'm still missing 4. Mana ada 4 tu? Good. 5. 3 more. Who was the 3 who changed their minds? Huh? Okay, maybe absent. 3 absent are very high in moderation.
Well, Janice, there are about 7 of them who have got jobs and are not here now.
Oh, that could be part of that 3.
2 weeks
Okay.
ago, 7 of them were here.
Okay.
So they've already got jobs now.
So when I say less than 100% is not acceptable, it's very simple. Have you thought about you have to sell yourself? You remember the exercise we did when you went for an interview? What happens when you go for an interview? No. That is a reaction. That is part of the emotion. Correct. You have to sell yourself. Sell as in inverted. You have to promote yourself. There is 1,000 candidates outside the door. I'm sitting here. I am going to interview you, and you may be the 999, maybe 899. I don't know. And we're only planning to, let's say, select 20% out of that 1,000. Which means I'm only going to select 200 people, right? So, the first question is, in my head is, why would I select this candidate to be part of the 200? Or to be considered for the part of the 200? Second thing, before you choose a career, you have to sell your skills, right? What is your skills? Do you know what is your skills right now? You know, are you clear about where you are right now, where you stand in terms of your skills, your knowledge? You do? You clear about it? Everyone is clear about it? You know where your skill set is? You're not sure.
I'm not sure.
Can you share why is it that you say you're not sure?
I don't know. I simply think I'm not competitive enough compared to others.
What is your field of education?
Economics.
Economics.
Yeah, I graduated.
Okay. So why do you think you're not competitive enough? Is it your grades or something else?
I don't know.
You cannot not know if you say you're not confident.
Yeah.
Because you made a statement. Your statement was, I'm not confident.
Yeah.
Which means you're aware that there's something lacking. So you cannot say that you do not know what you're lacking in, because that doesn't bite. You see the logic? It's not logical. So think about it as, why is it that I think I do not have the skills to be competitive? Okay? Is it? If it is not your grades, means it's something else. If it is something else, okay, let me take an example. When you go for an interview, for example, the first thing is that you must project a positive image. Correct? If you do not project a positive image, then the first impression, you would probably fail. Okay? All interviews have what we call a scorecard. You know, your football, they all have scorecards, right? Red, blue, yellow, whatever. So they all have scorecards. The scorecards is first impressions, probably a certain percentage. Then education, a certain percentage. And then after that, the rest comes down. If you have got an interview, appointment, your door, you're halfway in the door. If you don't have it, you're not anywhere near the door. Remember that. So you cannot walk into the interview and say that I am not sure. No. By that time when you're in front of the interviewer, you are going to promote yourself, correct? So you have to think about, what is it that I'm lacking that I don't have? How am I going to make up for it? Is this company going to ask me that? Very simple. Those are the things you need to think about. There is no shortcut. Nobody can help you. Your mom cannot go to the interview with you. Your teacher cannot go to the interview with you. No. You have to sell yourself and sell your skills. This is where it comes in. If I want to set up, I don't know what you guys are going to sell, but if I want to sell ice kacang and I don't know what is going to be inside the ice kacang, I cannot sell that ice kacang. There's something that I want to talk about. You see, the question is, what is your persona and how do others see you? This is something I just read off, yeah? Your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. You got it? Your personal brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. You think about somebody that you admire, somebody that you want to maybe mentor, ask for mentoring, and you think about what is that image that person has in your mind that you want that person to help to mentor you. It could be a trait, a character, it could be because the person is in that industry, it can be anything. But what makes up that image is what we call personal branding. Alright? So, how do you want others to see you? That is very key. How do you want others to see the products you're going to sell when you are running your own business? That is key. You know why there are some brands that are so successful and some brands are not? It's because of this. The persona and the branding is very important. You know, there are some, designers. Who have heard of Alexander McQueen? Oh my goodness, I'm too far off. Adidas.
H&M.
H&M.
They might get that.
Uniqlo. How many of you know about Uniqlo? How many of you know about Uniqlo? How do you spell Uniqlo? How many of you buy from Uniqlo all the time, or most of the time? Nobody?
A couple of hands going up quietly. I can see progress.
How many of you know about Gap? Gap, G-A-P. You know how that brand Gap came about? Because it was taken as a gap between what I think is everyday functional clothes versus the or what I call it, the high upmarket brand. That's how it came up with it. It's called Gap. Gap as in a gap. See? Very, very powerful brand, isn't it? One word, English word, and you take it and make it a brand. I tell you, I salute those guys. So, how do you know about Uniqlo? Can someone tell me, how did you know about Uniqlo? You saw the shop you're walking, do you? Okay, mom and sis, oh, ladies are very powerful brand. Powerful marketing tools, yes? Ad in the cinema. The back, those who know about Uniqlo, how did you find out about Uniqlo? How did you know? Friend? Advertisement, word of mouth, so your mom. What about that group?
We just walk past it.
You know how Uniqlo came about? Oh, by the way, do you know where the origin of Uniqlo is?
Japan.
Yes, Nihonjin na. Uniqlo is a bit like your Gap. Uniqlo started because Japan was going through a stalemate in the economy. And these people said, okay, there's this group of consumers that we have, what they call latent consumers, that means consumers that are not tapped on, okay? Who has a need, but has a limited budget. So they decided to make everyday clothes, functional design clothes, not fancy, make it cheap, which means in order to make it cheap, they got to make sure that their cost is low, right? Because they need to make a profit. You want to do business, you want to make a profit, right? Yes. Even if you're running a social enterprise, you still need to make a profit. Nobody said yes to that. Yes. So they decided to do that, and that's how they started. Now, you know Japanese, they're very smart. They said, okay, unique glow. Okay, it has to be unique, and it has to glow. Clever. That's how they started it. And if you walk into Uniqlo, whether you walked into the one in KL, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, or in Japan, they sell slightly different, but most of it is quite common. So, their branding is number one, cheap, affordable, good quality. Who knows about Muji? I know you will put up your hand, okay, Sean. Yes. What? It's a store in Mid-Valley. Just beside Coffee Bean. See, I know the store. I'm a shopper. I don't know about the pet shop now. Yeah. Who knows about Muji and Co? M-U-J-I. You guys not sure? Jeez. Only Sean knows about Muji? Okay, Muji is also a Japanese brand. And how many of you know how to read Chinese? In Chinese, when they write the brand, it means no brand. Seriously, if you buy their clothes, you only see the label SMLL or XL. No Muji on it. I tell you, no, because I buy their things. Uniqlo, you still have the word Uniqlo on it. Muji, you do not see the brand, it's just the size. And Muji is different. They say, we make household common products with good quality. They never talk about price. You see, Uniqlo is on price, affordable. They don't say cheap, they say affordable. Muji say good quality. And Muji concept is, when you buy Adidas, you are paying a certain price, or what we call a premium, because of the brand. Correct?
Yes.
I mean, if you buy Adidas shoes, your shoes going to cost more than if you buy Bata shoes, right?
Yeah.
So the difference is what we call a premium. Okay? Muji concept is, I do not put the brand there, therefore you do not pay for the premium. I still give you the quality, but there is no premium. See the difference? Then the next thing is Louis Vuitton. I think everybody knows Louis Vuitton, right? And Louis Vuitton is pricey because it is a brand that's been built up. The persona is luxury. So you walk into Louis Vuitton, you are going to pay the price. You cannot go into Louis Vuitton and say, hey, ni mahal lah. Let's say, oh, that's the door. Correct? So this is part of sales and marketing. The same thing. I'm taking brand stores because it's easy for you to relate. And I'm surprised some of you don't shop at. Where do you guys shop, yeah? Tesco, what else? What brands do you buy? Because I see some of you wearing branded stuff, what? FOS? No, some of you buy. I think some of you wear Levi's. Marks and Spencer is not cheap. Pasar Malam. Pasar Malam lagi. Beli dari mana? Alamak, itu Nike lah. Whether it is genuine or not is Nike, right? So why do you buy and choose to wear a brand? Because, number one, maybe, well, it represents you. Number two, a bit of prestige. Number three, because of quality. I buy brands because of certain things. Okay? Affordability, quality, and so on. So you see how you're going to tie it up back to what you're going to do in the afternoon? Guys, listen up. What I went through on Uniqlo, Gap, Muji, think about it because that is going to be part of the exercise you will do later. We'll go like, like that. Okay. Now, we'll talk about this already. Let's talk about, you know, so many people have been talking about it, but they don't say this. Have you heard about this? Learn, unlearn, relearn. This is actually a statement by Alvin Toffler. Who knows who has read his book? Huh? Of course, Dato has read the book. Anybody else?
Before I started my own business,
you learned it, right?
one of the very good business gurus, Toffler on marketing.
Yeah. When you say I learn, unlearn, relearn, it doesn't mean that I have learned to tie my shoelace. Therefore, now I have to learn, unlearn the tying of the shoelace. No, it's not that. Okay, please. Because the most important thing about this philosophy is change is the constant. It's always changing. That's the constant factor. And because of the change being a constant factor, you need to make sure that you learn, unlearn, and relearn. What Vincent and the rest have said in many, many sessions before you is you have to always learn. I give a very simple example. Dengue fever, everybody knows, right? I had 2 family members who were admitted to hospital for dengue fever before. And that was a few years back. And the only cure that we could understand or know about it was you go and take the green papaya leaf, clean it, and then you pound it, and then the dengue patient got to drink it. Trust me, it's yuck. It stings, okay? And then I met a friend during Chinese New Year, and she was admitted because of dengue fever. And she told me, I only stayed 1 night in the hospital. I was like, huh? Oh, what miracle did you do? And she told me this. I took everything that I was told that is good to get me out of the hospital because Chinese New Year, and I wanted to be with my family. And the hospital beds were all full. You know, the hospitals now are full, you know. Don't think that you can go into a hospital and get a bed, yeah? No, man. Okay? So, I asked her what she drank. She said, I drank papaya leaf juice. I said, okay. Then she said, I had this thing called porcupine powder. I'm like, huh? What's that? Well, apparently it's this Chinese little drug or Chinese medicine remedy that works. It's very costly. Small little thing costs you like 1,000 ringgit. And then she said, oh, I drank something very nice. I'm like, papaya leaf is not nice. It stings like crazy, right? I said, you drank 100 plus? She said, no. She said, I drank a crab soup. You know the Kitam bunga or whatever. You know, you buy from the market, you know, the floral crab, not the green one, the one with a bit of pattern on it. So what did I learn? I learned dengue fever. You can cure by a few things. I unlearned because papaya juice is not the only thing that can be done. I can do soups, which taste a lot better than the stupid papaya juice. And of course, if I got the money, I got the porcupine powder. So then I asked her a very curious question. Which was the most effective? Trust me, I'm a salesperson, right? I must know what is the most effective technique, right? And she said, the porcupine powder. And I went like, oops. Because so expensive. 1,000 ringgit for this small little thing, you know? But she said, oh, when I took the porcupine powder, the blood palette started to go up. Then I said, then, did you take cortisone? She said, of course, for insurance, I take everything lah. This is like a concoction, you know, like a cocktail lah. You just put everything in your body go and jumbo itself, and voila, okay? After one night, she went home. Fabulous, right? Okay. The second thing that I learned and unlearned and relearned was this project that I'm working for, where I'm training some salespeople, and there are about 15 of them, and you've got very young ones and very old ones. And I have to unlearn because the techniques, some of the techniques that I have learned when I first do sales, does not apply. Because now, you cannot do hard sales. You know what we used to do? We used to do this. We used to go up to this person and say, okay, I'm going to sell the pen. And I have to do it in such a way that the sales cycle is short. Number two, I have to use the technique in such a way that I will close the sale. It's like, okay, you don't like blue, I got red. You don't like red, I got black. You just close the sale. It's limiting the buyer and pushing the buyer to that. Nowadays you can't do it. Nowadays it's called relationship selling. So it's changed. I have to unlearn that, right? I have to relearn what is inside relationship selling. And I have to apply what I have learned before and my experiences to teach the class. So what it means is change is the only constant. Nothing, okay, is more constant than change. You have to be flexible and humble, and you've got to keep learning and going. Because the moment you stop, everything stops. Yes? Unlearn doesn't mean that you dump everything off, like, you know, the tying the shoelace. That means you say, I don't want to learn about tying shoelace already. Okay? Maybe you use a better technique of tying the shoelace. I'm not good with tying shoelaces, okay? When I buy shoes that has got shoelaces, I always like, is there an easier way to do this? I feel like buying the one that you do for kids. You know? You tie it already and you just clip it and then I just stuff my feet in, you know? That's what I like. Because I hate tying shoelaces. So now there's a new tool, right, that I can learn. So unlearn doesn't mean that you dump everything that you have learned. You understand what are the changes or what are the new things you need to learn, and then you adapt it onto what you have learned before. That's what it means. And in that process, it's called relearning. Unlearn doesn't mean that you throw everything out. No, please don't do that. That means if you know your ABC, you don't suddenly say, I don't want to know about ABC. No, The ABC helps. If you know a language, don't throw away the language. Alright? Okay? Please go and read the book. It's a very interesting book. Okay. Let's talk talk about this before we go for the exercise. Somebody mentioned just now, I think, the top 3 or top 5 characters, right, for successful entrepreneurs. Look at this. Plan everything. See, I've highlighted certain points here, and these points are related to when you're in sales and marketing. You plan everything. You have to plan your sales call. You cannot go and just say, oh, today I want to sell. You can't. You have to plan. Your planning means I have to know what time the shop's open. Number 2, okay, what is the target I'm going to focus on? Number 3, do I have enough brochures, pamphlets? Those are part of planning. Okay? You need to ask for the sale. If you want to be in sales and marketing and you don't want to ask for the sale, you're not going to make it. If you want to do business and you don't ask for the sale, you're not going to make it. You know those people, even in the coffee shops, they actually ask for the sale. It's just that they say, would you like to eat this or not? That's all. They don't say, I ask for the sale. No, they don't say it like that. Okay? But it's asking for the sale. And remember, it's all about the customer. If you don't have a customer, you don't have a business. Same, in sales and marketing, it's all about the customer. Then, you have to become shameless. Like I said, be a big thick skin. If you don't believe in your product, how can you expect someone else to believe in it? Embrace, love it, think about it, dream about it. You need to. Because if you're not, you cannot promote what? Right? You have to project a positive business image. If you're going to have a business plan and you want to get some investors, and you go in and you wear your shorts or your slipper and you go and promote, go to the bank, I think your chances of you getting your loan approved or getting a support is going to be quite minimal. You have to be positive. Remember just now the gentleman said, how many times did he present his business plan? 40 times. Not kidding. I read about this on a blog, on a Google. This actor who's very successful now, he said he went and did close to 80 auditions before he was accepted. 80! But he believed that he wanted to become an actor so much, he just went and went and went and went. And every time he went and he failed, he came back home and he said, oh, what did I do not do right? And he improved on it, and he went and went and went and went. Now he makes a lot of money. Okay? Get to know your customers. If you do not know your customers, how are you going to sell your product? You can't. Like I said, the ice kacang to 10 ringgit, I will not go and sell to the makcik or the pakcik or to my mom. No way. She'll think I gila lah. Buy the ice kacang at 10 ringgit. Sometimes I buy stuff home, yeah, for my mom, my parents, and my auntie, and they say, yeah, this woman only know how to waste money, because they will ask me how much it is. Actually, sometimes it's very cheap, you know, but in their mind, it's like, I always pay for something expensive. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe because what they do is that they compare what is in the pasar and the pasar malam with what's in the shop. You know, the chicken rice in the shop is different from the one that you eat at the mall, right? What's that thing? Chicken rice shop. How much they sell for one plate? Yeah, what? How much do you get at the kopitiam? God, they go, why you pay that? Can you tell me why you pay the 10 ringgit then? Hungry, yeah. Alamak, you can eat other things ma, in the mall, cannot be lah. Huh? Quality. I don't think so. I think I can make better chicken rice than me. I mean, that's for me lah, huh? Okay. Create a competitive edge. What is the difference that you have? What is your competitive edge? You asked a good question just now. You think I am not competitive enough, or my skills are. So, what is the competitive edge that you have got? You may have something and you never thought about it, or you didn't know about it, or you didn't realize it. Think about it. Invest in yourself. Please go and read books, buy a good... I think someone said this before. I don't know whether they come. You had a session on dressing for success, right? What is that session called? Grooming. Go invest in yourself. You don't have to buy 10 pieces of Gap pants lah. Buy one, start with one. If you think that they have very good quality, okay? That's what you do. Build a rock solid reputation. When you start in a career, please do it well. Because there are two things that will happen. One, you will get referrals. Number two, you have a network support. And you can always count on that network support. So for example, you choose a career in sales, you make sure you have a good reputation. Because then people will come and hire you. You get headhunted. You know what's headhunted? Headhunting is really like the old saying, headhunting, you know. They actually come and look at your heads. I mean, not that way, but they come and talk to you and say, hey, would you like to join this company? You know?
They want to know what's going inside.
Yes. Yeah. You want to know what's going inside your head, yes. And when you are going to, and if somebody wants to start up a business, maybe you could be invited, you never know. Or when you start a business, then you can go and call and talk to your old bosses and so on. I still keep in touch with my old bosses. Don't forget your network. Sell your benefits. Don't know what's in the ice kacang. How to sell for 10 ringgit. I must tell them, okay, I'm using Azuki beans lah, from Japan lah. What is that? Whatever lah, huh? Okay? Master the art of negotiation. Someone asked, right? Persuasion. Is it a talent or is it an art or a skill? Persuasion and negotiation go quite close together. You can persuade, but if you cannot close the sale, it's not negotiation, okay? Yes?
Have any books to recommend?
There's a lot of books.
You just brainwash people.
No, we cannot brainwash people.
Persuade them.
You have to do it in such a way that if you brainwash the person still say you're good. And buy, that is what I call an art. You don't want the person to come back and say, hey, you tipu saya, that is not an art. You got it? There's a difference, yeah? What is an art and what is not an art? So to make it an art, you have to learn the skills. And get and stay organized. If you want to be good in what you do, and you, let's say for example, you go for your interview for sales, you don't bring your diploma, whatever education, you don't bring your photograph and all that, then it's not organized. You want to start up a business and you want to sell and you're not organized, you don't know where your store is, you don't know where, whether you have enough stock, that's not organized. And you have to follow up. A lot of sales do not become sales or do not translate into money simply because there is a lack of follow-up. So let's say you have decided you will buy 1,000 pieces of pens from me. And I have to do the delivery in 2 days, for example. And I forget to follow up, and I don't do the delivery. What happens? I lose the sale. The contract is signed, but I didn't get the check. That's not follow-up. That's called goofing off. Your follow-up is like, you have a date, right? You promise to go and pick up your date. Don't sekali lah, don't go and pick up. Kaput, right? Same. Or you like this girl a lot and you're supposed to go and buy her things, or she told you already, tomorrow is my birthday, and you forgot to follow up your date. Right? Just simple things like that. Okay? So, I've given you some points to think about. Okay, I think we can break for lunch.
Well into lunchtime.
Okay, you can break into lunch. Think about all the sessions you had from the first week until today. And then afterwards, I think there are 2 more speakers. And then we will be doing a wonderful exercise. Okay?